Hello everyone, I am Bella Jupiter 27, your local Roblox case opening simulator 2 tutorial man. In this video, part 4 is going to be about seeds. Now, seeds are basically saved battles made by other users and created by other users and shared among many people. So, in order to access seeds, you'll first have to be level 2 to gain access to gems. And then you pull gems from more than $10 cases, like this, for example. It is more than $10, but you have to pull the gems in solo open. And what that'll do is give you in a certain amount of gems. And the gems depend on the case that you do and the odds of the gem pull. So if you go, for example, I'm right clicking on glasses cases to view the contents and then I hit check case info, it'll tell you how many gems you'll get each time you roll a mythic spin, which is just a gem spin. And you need 10 gems to unlock battle seeds. And what that'll do is give you the option to access it in battles. How do I access it? Good question. So what we do is you first see the seed button. Let's not get curious about this yet.
Actually, now let's get curious about it now.
So what you need to do is, for example, just put in any battle you want. Any battle. For example, I'll put in 5 cloud seeds as a test. And we're going to do this on normal fast. And yes, the settings do matter. And I'll show you why in a moment. So, then we click on this seed button. It brings up this. And it gives you information at the bottom. We'll go over them briefly. Yes, every battle creates a code that is shared among people. Not just your friends, but other people. That's why most people nowadays use seeds, because it helps them save their battles in a notepad and then use it for later. Now, this is the seed itself. How this works is, we're going to get a little nerdy here. V1 is just the star along with this symbol. The number that you see, 110, is the case ID of the cloud case. And then the colon separates the IDs from the next part. The slashes separate the ID to the next ID. And then I don't know what the 6 is for, to be honest. But the rest of these numbers represent toggles for your battle. So 0 meaning it's untoggled and 1 meaning it's toggled. So as you see in the seed, it is 000100, which is true here because it says 000100. That's how seeds are going to work here. And if you ever decided you want to save your seed, you will highlight it and then copy, Control C, and then you hit load, and then you paste it in where it says enter seed here, and then you hit confirm. Now, before I do that, I'm going to actually delete the cases and modify the settings a little bit so that you get a familiar idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, so now we pasted the seed, and now it looks like this. This is how I saved my battle. If you want to readjust the settings onto your seed, you may do so. And then you will hit seed, and then back, and then it gives you a new seed to copy. And as you can see, it's changed because we enabled Rumble and Clutch. So the last 2 numbers are going to be obviously 1 and 1. Now, there are a few things I do want to clarify about seeds. Tip number 1. If you really want to do seeds, one recommendation I would make is for almost all your seeds, make them balanced. And what that'll look like is, remember we talked about this earlier in my earlier tutorial videos, where you have to balance the safe and the risky side to make it almost neutral, right? There's not as much safe than the other, but at the same time, there's not much risk than the other. So what that'll kind of look like is, for example, I'll put in, what, two risky cases and 2 safe cases. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're doing risk cases like glasses or something along this sort that has high pay and you don't manage to pull it, please, pretty please take the time to turn clutch off or on. You do what you want, but what I would recommend is trying to switch between clutch mode, because clutch mode can either mean you win or you win nothing at all, and that all depends on the last case. So looking at my seed here, we have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first start this battle, okay? And we're gonna gotta get an overall idea of the seed. Again, I'm kind of repeating everything from the previous videos because they all correlate to this. They all kind of correlate to the whole saving battles thing. Again, you do not want to post bad seeds because people will find out and no one will ever use them. And in most seeds, people are going to put it above, a little bit above, or exactly, barely enough from the free cap. If you don't know what that is, it means the maximum capacity of money you can have just by doing free cases only. So what that means is if, well, in this update, it got changed. So if you're running free cases and you notice that your limit's 200, that's a pretty good limit. However, this new update, they changed the VIP free limit to 400, as you see here. And what that means is you can now pull up to $400 from free case. Basically, what I mean is VIP free case. Obviously, the maximum pull is $53, but you can stack up the money and then you'll have your $400 up here once you have that saved up. Now, they did also add a bunch of level rewards apart from the last video that I made, so like 75, 31. It all started on August 9th. And from this video being made, you probably have already seen this if you have caught up with the update and wasted all the level rewards like I did. It's okay. No one's perfect. No one's gonna win it all. No one's gonna be outstandingly strong. In fact, you can never have enough money in this game, which is why like some of my tutorials are luck based mostly, but at the same time I'm trying to be as factual, right? I'm trying to be objective with it. Now, let's just get back to the seed here. You know what I'm going to do? Since I'm already recording this session, I'm going to add a little bit of money from with Robux. All right, so I bought 2,000, which should be enough for this video. And we're going to start with just basic C's, right? And I'm going off of the new free case limit, which is 400. And what that will do is you'll basically have a seat available whenever you do get above 400 or exactly at 400, and then you just go from there, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to try to remember we have to balance out the safe side and the risky side. So, what that is going to firstly look like for this first seed that I'm doing, again, I'm gonna try my best here to tell you guys. I have actually made preset seeds already, but I do have to tweak them a little bit before I put them in the description of this video, which I will do. However, as of right now, I am gonna have to test out already my seeds that I've made from like 5 days to a week ago as I was preparing this video. Because when I was first preparing this video, it was originally going to be just me telling you this information and then just battling it out with this all the seeds I made. But that costed too much money. So what I'm doing instead is I'm only going to show you a few that I think are my personal favorite. And we'll be good from there. Oh, and also, I'll also be linking the Co-Drop Studio Discord in the description as well. And they have a Case Battle Seeds channel. So you can go around and find other people's seeds too that people have made. And I'm sure theirs are going to be better than mine because I haven't had as much time as them to efficiently make my seed look good. So that is something you'll have to pay attention to as well. So I'm gonna start off with a what's considered to be a non-VIP seed because it doesn't have any VIP cases in it. Remember, if you don't have VIP, you cannot use VIP cases. So this is my very first seed that I made from almost a week ago. And I'm just gonna film this. Remember, I don't have in-game audio on, so that is something I'll have to actually try to compensate with. That is something I'm gonna have to try to compensate with. So what that's gonna look like on your end, what that's gonna look like on your end is just like some background music or maybe like a very good like music source that I can find, and that should be it. And then I'll give you a little bit of more information once everything works out the way it should, meaning I get through everything that I need to. Again, I don't have to win. I'm only showing you a few seeds from the whole list that I've made. And so far, I don't have to tweak anything with this seed. I think it looks good. Maybe if you're doing seeds as well, make sure you look at the format of everything too. Like if you're doing it solo, if you're doing it in teams, maybe also check on that when you're doing your seeds. And when you pick your cases for your seeds, you basically have to, in order to compare from safe and risky, you have to do two things. One, check the odds of the case that you're doing, and two, look at its difficulty slider. I'm going to give you a basic rundown so that we don't waste too much time here. Green means it's very safe. Blue means it's safe. And again, this may not be true for all cases, but most cases will follow this criteria, okay? So the green difficulty means it's very easy, but hard, if not a little bit too easy to profit. Blue means it's relatively safe and you can get a bunch of things out of it if you win. But at the same time, it kind of suffers from the fact that if it's like very close to the green area, which is like a fourth of the difficulty slider on the far left side, yes, you are more guaranteed to pull, but mostly cases like those, like say safety case, it only has like a few items that you can get, and that's only comparable to the value of this case, which is $28.16. And like almost all of these are like $30. So you're only gonna be profiting like $2 each, which isn't good. Okay. And then the blue ones are relatively safe, like I said before. The yellow seed is moderately like average per se, but it's a little bit more difficult to pull. So I'm looking at blur case. The value of this is $7.71. Okay, and you have 15% chance of 57 cents, 3 cents, 30% chance total already, 55%, 70%, 85%, and then this is just me telling you that the rest of these are basically profitable. Again, it is not hard to pull them and gain profit. Like electricity case, for instance, this is much more easier, but again, you do have to look at the odds of the cases. Like, this is a lot better than Blur Case in the sense of their odds. Okay? And then the last one for the difficulty slider is the red. It is moderately difficult to pull, and if you do pull, it'll likely pay. So it's like broom case, like any 10% or 5% case pretty much. So yeah, you see, well, some of these aren't red, like birthday case, but you get the gist of it. It's just a 10% case, and it has a very good odds to pull. The main pull is the Void Star, but the reason why it's red is I think because the rest of the pulls are, yeah, the rest of the pulls are purple. So it's not going to be as much of a profit if you don't pull the red Void Star. But like looking at Viridium here, there's a bunch of chances to profit greatly. Instead of just these two purples, we have 4 reds and a light blue. That birthday doesn't. And so that makes it extremely good for us. And maybe the bots too if you lose. But that's not the point. Anyways, I'm gonna show the seed now. I'm gonna create, and then we're gonna start, and then I'll catch you guys up with more information to come. Okay, well, that was just lucky for bot 2. But that was the first seed. So you can see that the Viridium Silver is good. They're risky, but they're also good. Now, Tractor Case is something I did find when I was like trying to look for stuff. This is just like the backer case, right? If Viridium or Silver don't pull at all, Tractor Case probably will more than the other two. And same with Maple, like 65% here, but the rest are very good. However, Tractor lacks the more items like criteria, so that Maple is filled with more possibilities and more items that are more valuable. And then Hard Case, we all know Hard Case. It's just a 50-50. But yeah, and that was the molecular clutch at the end, inverted. So then we move on to the next seed, and this is a VIP seed that I think I'll like. Hold on, I'm actually trying to find the right one so I can show you much better. I guess maybe something like this. Then again, I don't know why. Here, let me tweak this one because this is a little bit weird. Yes, we want pot. We want like no, we don't want pasta. Yeah, we want like a little bit of valuable stuff in here for if they others don't pull. And then we'll add in a spell case at the end and then leave it at that. Now, spell case is like very good. Like you don't need to turn inverted on for it or unless you're really scared, but it's just a classic 10% case. However, it's not like the others where the lower pull is so bad, but the rest are much better. This is like a balanced 10%, right? Like the 90% is just almost $15, and the case itself is almost 19. So if you're doing this in like two-way, even you can, even if it's two-way, you can still get money. Like you can profit from it, which is really good. And then the rest of these are just much better. Although the 0.01% you'll usually never see unless you're like really lucky. So we don't have to add a molecular case at the end of this seed because technically it is not needed because of the spell case that exists at the end. I'm actually recopying this seed and I'm going to repaste it onto the slot here. My second slot of balanced seeds because I think it might actually be better than the one that I pasted before. We're going to run this one now and I'm going to catch up with you later on obviously more information. Or maybe just another seed. I don't know. I feel like I should do one more seed and then that should just be enough. So yeah, I'll catch you up later. Okay, and I also did notice the bread pull on bot 5. I guess inverter would have helped more. But then we move on to the next piece of information before the last seed that I showcase. And that is if you don't want to do the balanced seeds, you can make it entirely safe or you can make it entirely risky. I'm gonna run a risky seed though, and not a safe seed in this video, but no, not that one. but you get the general idea of how you mostly want to do balance seeds more than the other. And yeah, this is one of my risky seeds at the third risky seed on my list. And what you'll see in this description is three seeds in three different categories and two criteria. So if you don't have VIP, you'll have 9. If you do have VIP, you'll get 9 more seeds. But they don't necessarily mean that they have VIP cases in them. It's solely because of the free case limit. Now I'm going to showcase this last seed and then I'll give you more information. Or actually, no, the very last piece of information on what to do next, okay? And then we'll skip to the outro after. And then we end this video with a bang. Now, I did win a lot. And I probably deserve it for all the tutorial videos that I give you guys. That may help or may not help you at all. Remember, the luck-based game, not a skill game. And let me see here. What else do I have? The only tip that I can think of that I can recommend to you guys before we end this video right now, and if I have more, I'll leave it either in the description or in the comments, is if you're doing seeds, do not add in, like, let's say, 20 of these and then just be done with it. The main point of seeds is you want it to profit more than it detriments you. And if you just add the same case over and over, it's going to feel repetitive, boring, and unprofitable. Unless if it's like a very good case. But in this example here, I have 20 tent cases, which may not help you at all in the slightest. If you think it is, it's okay to think so, but this is just my objective opinion, per se. So I just personally think that this is not a good idea at all. I feel like cases should have more variety in them, like Paraestron. Wait, how do you pronounce it? Paraestron, Raspberry, Viridium, and then we move on to a different category, and then a different category, and then so on. But I think that's all that I have for this video. I originally recorded a little bit more footage, but I am not destroying. I am trying to get rid of not using those in the video because those were just rush clips and unfortunately not in my outlined ideas for a video. So I'm going to upload this version of the video instead. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!